guys, good little treat. We got General Air just showed up. Boom, super. I love that because I don't have to take time off work. I don't have to do anything like that to go get new stuff. So, got a new Stinger. I got me a new V Stinger. This Stinger, the spring was basically it's lost all its strength and it's actually cooked the insulators out of it, and now it's arcing off, which is no good. So got me a new Stinger. Now guys, one of the reasons I love these V Stingers, and I love a T-300 too, don't get me wrong, I love a T-300. This is a T-300. Love this Stinger when it comes to like just mainlining. When you just mainline, not really anything to worry about arcing off of, except, you know, unless you run that rod clear to nothing, and then, I mean, there's a lot to arc off on this Stinger. They make great grounds though, so I've always had a T-300 as a ground, but these V Stingers, they are, to me, they last the longest. They last for freaking ever. I mean, Dave had one that was like 6 years old and still running. It drug it down the road. It was like all bent and messed up, but it still worked and went good. But one of my favorite things is, and I don't, like with the T-300, let me see that one real quick. Now I know you guys see a lot of them videos where people are over there just freaking giving her the onion and just bending them rods, you know. Well, the thing with the T-300 is your rod pops out of them, you know, which is no big deal because I don't ever push that hard. I don't feel like you need to. You need to just turn it up or turn it down one way or another, you know. I mean, granted, there are some times where you get in a tight spot and it just takes just a little bit just to get it in there. But with these, I mean, you can basically wrap that whole rod around it, but they last maybe, I mean, if you're running hard and you're burning threes, you'll burn through a 300 in 2 months, you know. You can really just, they're great Stingers, they're awesome Stingers, but they just don't have the life capacity, to me, that these 300s, I mean, that these V Stingers do. So, we need to get this one actually put on and cut down. So a lot of guys will cut this like clear down and get, because there's a lot of metal on these things. That's the other disadvantage of them, is they're quite a bit heavier than a 300. But all I do, and I don't really cut a lot off. Like I'm probably gonna cut maybe an inch off of that, because I like a long Stinger. I do not like being in the middle of a fire, okay? So, everybody put your safety spectacles on. Okay, that's all I'm cutting off of that. Now, it's not much, probably don't make a difference, but hey, it's all a mental game, so whatever. Now what we're getting ready to do, we gotta cut this lead off of here. And you wanna swap me spots, Josh? And all we're gonna do is just cut the lead off right next to the Stinger. You don't wanna waste a bunch of lead. And then we're gonna cut this back, and if it's not black and it's good lead still, then we'll go ahead and tie right into the new Stinger. Okay, now, pull your knife out. Yeah, got mine right here. Okay, now let me show you this little deal right here, because it don't take much. Now with a 300, what you're going to do is you're actually going to split right along the screw. So it takes about, I mean, we're talking about an inch, maybe an inch and a half worth of lead needs to get cut off for a 300, but for a V Stinger, it's quite a bit less, because all you're doing is putting it in this little, what would you call that?
Not the terminal.
Yeah, terminal.
A lug. You're putting it on a lug.
Yeah, you're basically putting it on a lug. And these lugs on these aren't that big, so just get that broke loose. Maybe. So now you gotta have a crescent wrench. Gotta get this lug off of here. Now this is where you bust your freaking knuckles, and it sucks. I don't mechanic for certain reasons, and that's definitely one of them. I don't like mechanicking. I would rather not. I'd rather pay somebody to do that. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to go on the back of the truck. Now, bring your handle, because it's got to go on too. And just beat that thing on there. Now slide your handle on, and let's go hook it onto the stinger. There's another thing you can do to these too, like you can always take like a wedge, and a lot of guys will just put a cross in there, which is great. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a great way to do it. I like it to lay pretty flat, just because it's got a lot of this, like this is kind of in the way, so I like things to lay pretty flat. Make sure that this is on first, okay? Now there's gonna be a notch taken out of the top of it, and that's what slides over your bolt right there. So then just throw that on. Get all this put back together. And you're gonna want to tighten it. I mean, freaking, don't weaken. Go watch your knuckles. Because if you have a weak connection right there, your stinger's gonna start getting hot. So then just take your handle and run it right up. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory, but hey, we always like showing everything. Okay, we're ready to go back to work. We're done. Let's get this done.